Task Force Admiral is a game that, like any other simulation game, actually throws a lot at you, and in which battles actually are decided sometimes by very minute details, just like in real life. Today, I'm going to share 10 tips that I learned while playing Task Force Admiral that I really wished I knew the first time I tried the demo. And stick around for number 7. That one really saved my bacon in one of my first tries. Tip number 1. Shift click to adjust plane selection faster. When setting up an attack, you don't have to painfully click one by one to select aircraft. Shift click on the arrows in the plane selection menu and the number will change by 5 at a time. I actually learned this recently thanks to a comment on one of my videos, which shows how valuable your comments can be. This simple trick saves you a ton of time when organizing large strikes. Tip number 2. Assign capped free fighters for a scramble. If you need to launch a massive scramble, don't forget that fighters assigned to combat air patrols are reserved and they won't be included in the scramble. The fix? Well, you can disable the cap mission first, and those fighters will immediately become available for your launch. When things get chaotic, this is the difference between getting planes in the air or leaving your carrier defenseless. Tip number 3. Fast swap and 3D views. Even to the Japanese side. Watching the battle unfold in 3D, you don't need to manually scroll to find the action. Double left click on any ship or plane and the camera will instantly switch to that unit, whether it's a plane in flight, a ship on the water, or even an enemy unit. This is the only way to view the action from the Japanese side in the demo. Use it to quickly jump perspectives and see the battle from every angle. This next tip is actually quite important, at least if you want the planes that you use as scouts to be more than scouts during the battle. Tip number 4. Don't max out scout range. Use 600 kilometers instead. It's tempting to send your scout as far as they can go, but usually they will spot the enemy long before reaching maximum range. If you send them too far, they will take forever to reach there and come back. Instead, keep scout missions around 600 kilometers. They will still find the enemy, but then they will return much sooner, keeping your air group fresh and ready for action. So this one I learned the hard way. In one given battle, one of my strikes totally missed the mark. The enemy had maneuvered out of the way, and I needed a second strike. But I simply didn't have enough bombers because my scouts were all out. I had sent them so far, but they still weren't back, so I couldn't use them. And yeah, the battle totally ended bad for me. As a result, if I could have launched that strike at that moment, I would have won. But as I couldn't, the Japanese sent more planes, and that was the end of me. Speaking of which, on the topic of strikes missing the target and missing the enemy, in a later tip, we are going to speak about that. Tip number 5. Preview missions on the air deck timeline. Before launching a mission, you can actually preview it in the air deck timeline. While setting up a strike, cap, or a scout mission, look at the timeline. You will see a semi-transparent preview of how the mission will fit into your carrier's air operations. This helps you avoid overcrowding your deck or delaying critical launches. We are halfway through the tips that I have prepared for you. But I think the 5 next are the most important ones. In particular, the last one is critical. You really want to stay tuned to see all of them. Tip number 6. Green lighted missions can be cancelled, but only before takeoff begins. Have you changed your mind on a mission? Maybe a strike you were preparing and you want to cancel? Well, you can do so, but only before the takeoff begins. The second planes begin taking off from your deck, and then you are locked in. So if you need to cancel the strike, do it before takeoff begin, or you'll be stuck committing those planes whether you like it or not. Tip number 7. Avoid enemy strikes by changing course and speed. You don't have to fight every incoming strike. You can make them miss entirely. Once an enemy strike is inbound, they are heading for your predicted position. But if you change course and speed immediately after being spotted, you can move far away from their target point while the enemy doesn't know it yet. If you are lucky, they will arrive, find nothing, and be forced to return to base without ever dropping their bombs. Now, there's no guarantee that this will work, but it's always worth a try. And if you manage to move your formation into cloud cover, the chances that the enemy will miss your ships is that much bigger. Now, this is not really easy to accomplish and depends how far the enemy is. Of course, the farther it is, the more time the strike needs to reach you, and the more time you have to get out of the way. But it's always worth trying. At the very least, they will be heading to a position you are no longer in, and they will have to change their course to reach your actual position, giving extra time for your cap and scramble fighters to intercept them and shoot them down. Tip number 8. Predict enemy ship movements for more accurate strikes. So just like you can dodge an attack, enemy carriers won't stay put either. If you send a strike directly to the predicted position, chances are they will have moved elsewhere. You won't have full movement data, but you will have their course, speed, and location at the time of spotting. And since enemy carriers always turn into the wind for air operations, you can predict where they will be. Factor in wind direction and adjust your attacking point. Otherwise, your bombers might arrive at an empty ocean. Now, if you want to see all these tips in action and much more, subscribe to the channel. I post a lot of TFA content. There are already some videos up and there are many more to come, so stay tuned. Tip number 9. Take direct control of your formation and even split it. Do you want full control over your fleet? Well, you can achieve it. You can split your formations. On the map, right-click on the formation you want to split and select Split Formation. You can choose which ships will join each formation, and then you can give orders to either individual. And now, the most important of them all. This tip will improve your experience of the game incredibly. It's really important and will seriously impact the efficiency of your aircraft in the game. Tip number 10. Send planes in multiples of 3. In Task Force Admiral, air groups operate in sections of 3. You will see that in the order of battle screen. If you click on the plus signs, you will be moving down the order of battle until the sections are revealed. Those sections can have up to 3 planes. So think of a squadron of 18 SBDs. That's 6 sections of 3 planes. Fighters also stick to 3 planes elements. If you send up 4 wildcats, 3 will stick together in one section, but the 4th guy is all alone in his own section. Planes that stay together support each other. They fight together, they go everywhere together, they go in formation, and honestly, they are easier to track in the order of battle screen. But at the time of fighting, if you have a section of 3 planes and another one of just 1, the guy alone is going to die terribly. Bombers are similar. If you don't send them in multiples of 3, well, some sections won't have 3 planes. A section will fly together very tightly. They offer mutual defensive fire coverage. If you send 4 SBDs, for instance, you will have one section of 3 planes that will fly together, having pretty tight defensive fire cones, while the other one will go on its own and will be easy prey. So always launch aircraft in multiples of 3. It will make your life easier and keep your fighters alive. So that's it. Those are the 10 tips that I wish I knew before I played Task Force Admiral for the first time. Which one of them is the most useful for you? Let me know in the comment section below with a timestamp so others can take a look as well. Hopefully these tips will help you at the time of achieving greater victories while playing the demo, but I'm curious. What tip do you have that I should have included here and I haven't? Let's include it in the comment section below. Let's also discuss tactics if you want, because again, we are all here to learn. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also remember the bell and share it with others who might enjoy it as well. If you want to support the channel through other means, you can do it by going to Patreon or by becoming a member of the channel here in YouTube. Thank you very much for watching and See you later.